we've saved the most exciting part for last, and a big tease that you and I have kind of been putting out there in both our Slack and at the beginning of this episode, is that we talked to someone at Baltimore Comic Con that kind of dropped a bomb on us in terms of the future of Amazing Spider-Man. But I'm going to leave you to talk about how this kind of came about, Alex, because you made the first discovery about this, which then allowed me to kind of facilitate it into getting more discoveries out of it.
Right. So every once in a while, I'll check the Amazon listings of Amazing Spider-Man, future solicited issues of Amazing Spider-Man, for the any updated credits of giant size issues. So in this case, issue 60, the final Zeb Wells issue, where they teased that there's going to be a team of artists, but we don't know who besides JR and Ed McGuinness. But then one day, Amazon out of the blue gave us the full credits, and among those names was Mark Buckingham. And I was like, Mark Buckingham on Amazing Spider-Man? Because I'll just come out and say it. I adore Mark Buckingham's work with Paul Jenkins in the early 2000s. His run on Peter Parker's Spider-Man is really, really good. That alongside JMS's, JRJR, that is just the best time to be a Spider-Man fan, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so for people who haven't read that, what do you think makes Mark Buckingham's work stand out? I mean, he's famous for a ton of other stuff. His work on Fables, he did 160 issues of Fables, but what makes his Spider-Man unique to you?
In a lot of ways, his style almost looks like a modernized Romita Sr., frankly. But I think what separates it is that he tells a lot of really grounded stories of Spider-Man. I mean, he does some really good, action sequences. I'm thinking of the Fusion storyline with the better Fusion, not the one from JRJR.
Yes.
But the one with Fusion and Dr. Octopus is a really fun story. But then he also did the Heroes Don't Cry story, which was one of your guys' essentials way back in the day. It's a really lovely story, and just the notion of getting more Buckingham, in whatever fashion it may be, genuinely excited me when I saw that listing on Amazon.
Yeah, so we were like, great, we got to talk to Mark Buckingham and find out what that is, okay? Mm-hmm. And so we get in his line. There was one person in front of us that was having him sign some stuff. And he just kind of casually drops to that person, oh, yeah, I'm back on Spider-Man again. And he's like, I just want to try my hand back again at superheroes for fun. I've been doing some things with Marvel, but I'm really on Spider-Man, and I'm really excited about that. And he didn't know who I was from Adam, just kind of hanging out in line. And I feel a little nervous talking about this now because I hope it's not betraying his trust, because going up to him and talking to him when he found out that we had a Spider-Man podcast, he kind of changed his tune a little bit from how candid he was being with the guy in front of us, to be like, oh yeah, it's an 8-page backup in issue 60 and there maybe is more to come. Right. Whereas with the guy before us, he was flat out saying I'm working with Joe Kelly in specific on a run of Spider-Man, and not in a way that made it sound like he was just doing the an issue or two of 8 deaths of Spider-Man,
right?
Because I don't think I would have used the word I'm on a run or I'm doing a run of Spider-Man if I was doing 1 or 2 issues of a series, Mm-hmm. And the way that he was talking about how much he enjoyed doing it to both us and him, and really reinvesting in the character, makes me think that whatever the next team is, which I think JRJR is hanging around, I wonder if we're getting the best of the early 2000s back on the book as the creative leads with Joe Kelly, which is very exciting. And I have been vocally critical of the idea of Joe Kelly coming back on the book. mostly because I find a lot of his modern work completely indecipherable and just kind of like sloppily written. But I know Joe Kelly paired with good artists is a different Joe Kelly. And if he's paired with JR and Mark Buckingham, both of whom are writers, I think, who kind of ground, are artists rather that ground writers, I think we could have something good here that bucks my inherent skepticism about Joe Kelly being on the book. How do you feel about that?
Brother, let me tell you, a Mark Buckingham and Joe Kelly joint has me super, super excited. I can't lie. Because look, say what you will about Joe Kelly, he has it in him to tell really, really good stories. We've seen it. We've not seen it a lot recently, but he can do it. But I just think he needs the right artist to just hone him down and tell some good Spider-Man stories. And I think Mark Buckingham is the guy.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I don't know how much of the Mark Buckingham run was Paul Jenkins, you know?
Right.
But like the same way that like I like the post Buckingham Jenkins stuff, but I don't think it's as strong as the Buckingham Jenkins stuff. You know, the same way I don't think JMS is as strong once JR leaves. So I have to assume that like there is a special kismet with some of these artists that massively improves or changes the direction that the Spider-Man stories go in. The same way I would say about the Wells stuff. Like, have I loved every JR story on Wells? No, but they're vastly superior in my mind to almost any other creative pairing in that run, right? So, like, that has me optimistic. I'm still extremely dubious about 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, if only just on the premise alone. Sounds like something I'm deeply uninterested in reading. And the more we find out about it, the more I'm like, what even is this? But if Buckingham is going to hang around for a longer run after that, I am on board. That is enough for me to give it a very serious shot.
I am right there with you.
And, you know, then we had just had a great conversation with Buckingham in general about like typeface.
He was the loveliest man to talk to. He was delightful.
I got to ask him about like the dog from the Paul Jenkins run where Peter had a neighbor with a dog that eventually like it was implied it was building a bomb or it was a robot or something, and we never got a resolution to it. So
and the answer that he gave was that there was no answer.
Yes, exactly. So like that long simmering mystery still simmers. But the better news is he is the most keen on coming on our show. So I would expect, you know, a Mark Buckingham interview in the very near future. We'll probably wait until after issue 60 so we can talk about that story and hopefully whatever is announced about his ongoing work on Amazing Spider-Man by that point. But he was super nice, very keen to chat with us. And
we talked about typeface, and it was delightful.
Yeah. We got the whole history of the creation of typeface. And also that he has not seen Across the Spider-Verse. So
neither did Al Milgrom, now that I think about it.
Yeah, Al Milgrom hadn't seen it either. And I'm like, what do we have to do to get you guys to watch your bizarre creations animated on screen? Like, that seems to be an ongoing trend with some of these creators is they don't really follow through on like seeing that their creations have been adapted to the big screen, which like, okay, but like, don't you want to see that? I don't know. Maybe like that was what makes the difference between us and creators is that like they create stuff and then don't follow through. I don't know. Maybe it's weird to see your stuff adapted, but anyway.